Hello students, welcome to Laex. Welcome to the 45th weekly magazine where we'll be covering from 1st Jan to 7th Jan 2018. Let's quickly look into the issues that are important in this week, and remember guys, from now on each and every issue we will be discussing in detail, and we will be going backwards as much as possible because from now on every issue is important from both prelims and mains as well. So let's quickly get into what are these issues and what is the background information that is required for us. United States of America has actually seen extremes of weather conditions. On the west coast of United States of America, just below 30 or 35 degree, north that is closer to California, in summer or late summer, we usually observe some sort of forest fires which had led to lot of devastation in United States. But that was on the west coast. And now above 30 degree north on the east coast, especially the northeastern part of United States of America, is actually observing snows. And the snowfall is in such a way that people call it as snow bombs. And the process of its formation is actually known as bombogenesis. So here, let me look at this issue carefully. First, let me tell you, we need to look at what is called as local winds. There are several local winds that are very important for you. The first important local wind which has actually led to forest fires last year was actually Santa Ana. This is a warm wind or hot local wind. So what happens if you actually look at the Rocky Mountains? The Santa Ana usually goes like this. So this would be the windward side and this would be the leeward side. Windward side usually the winds rise, leeward side they come down. Whenever they come down, they will be warm. And this warm wind, when it is blowing over the forest region of Santa Ana, there we usually observe, forest region of Santa Valley, we usually observe that the forest was already dry because of dry summer, and the trees started rubbing against each other, which led to forest fire. But when we look at the second one, that is blizzard. If we look, blizzard is a cold local wind which usually blows from the Canadian Shield or Canada. In winter, Canada will be very cold and we call it under high pressure. When we look at Gulf of Mexico, it will be under low pressure. Winds blow from the Canadian Shield towards the low pressure, and as this will be snow cover, usually the region will be affected by snow. So blizzard usually gives snow on the east coast of North America. But now what has happened? Along with this blizzard, there is Fronto Genesis. What is the meaning of Fronto Genesis? Above 30 degree latitude, whether in northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere, convergence of different air masses actually leads to fronts, correct? And this is also known as what we call as a temperate cyclones, correct? So along with the blizzard, this year there is temperate cyclone. The formation of temperate cyclone is known as Fronto Genesis, and this year it is called as bombogenesis because there is a sudden drop of, I repeat, there is sudden drop of low pressure. To what extent? It is beyond a particular point that the flow is so fast and has actually led to heavy snowfall. So it's very important for us to understand what are the reasons for the formation of this. The frontogenesis itself is called as bombogenesis because the low pressure that is developed is extremely low. And the second important thing that we need to focus is with respect to blizzards, which usually blow from North America or the region of Canada to the region of United States of America. So whenever they blow, they usually bring snow. So these are the reasons for the formation of snowfalls. I'm going to tell you a few festivals which are very important, one geographically, another one culturally this year at this point of time. The first most important one is the Jal Mahotsav. It is a water carnival in Hanuvantiya Island in Madhya Pradesh every year, and it is celebrated with lot of fun, and people from across they come, and the culture of Madhya Pradesh will be exhibited during this. So it is India's largest carnival, sports, adventure, everything takes place. So it's important for you to know about this. Hanuvantiya Island is actually present in Madhya Pradesh, and we also have to look that when we talk about the Hanuvantiya Island, it is closer to Indira Sagar Dam in Madhya Pradesh. Very important for you to look at this. The next issue is actually with respect to Mankedia tribe who has been denied habitat in Simlipal. Guys, you all have to be aware about a simple thing, that is, earlier, in the name of Forest Conservation Act of 1980, all the state governments tried to remove the tribal communities who were present in the forest and made them to settle outside the forest region. Due to this, in several areas, there was lot of Naxal problems. Later, to rectify the historical mistake committed by the government, they brought something called as Forest Rights Act of 2006. Unfortunately, even after this act, the tribal communities are not allowed. What is Forest Rights Act? Forest Rights Act clearly says that the tribal community should also be considered as a part of what? Part of the forest. So if conservation is taking place, along with the conservation of the forest, you have to conserve the tribes as well. Tribes are also part of the forest. This was the major commitment given by the tribal communities or by the government to the tribal communities to ensure that they will be present there itself. Now we need to look at the two tribes which are important. See guys, this is the core concept, that they are denied because of Forest Conservation Act, but they have to understand that according to Forest Rights Act, every tribal community has a right to stay here. The other important one is that when we look at the tribe Mankedia, please always see whenever tribal communities are in news, they may ask you question about it. He is one of the 13 particularly vulnerable tribal groups of the country. So these particularly vulnerable tribes I'm going to say. And where are these present? They are actually present near Simlipal region. So these two we have to see. One is about Mankedia, another one is about Simlipal. Now, when we talk about the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, remember within tribal groups, there are certain communities who are vulnerable of extinction. Their language may be extinct or they may be very few in number. All this actually lead to extinction of these people a lot. So we have to be careful about conservation of these tribal communities. More developed and assertive tribal groups, right, the dominant tribal groups usually try to take most of the funds, and these people will not get funds. Once the government identifies them as particularly vulnerable tribal groups, then they will be allotted some funds separately so that it is not taken over by the dominant tribes. So in 1975, Government of India understood their problem and tried to make a separate category of this, and over a period of time, they have actually found a lot of these particularly vulnerable tribal groups. You can say, sir, it's only one among 13 present in Odisha, right? So it's important for you to look at this. Who actually identifies it? It is identified by union government according to the procedure where the state governments will try to tell that, okay, this group is vulnerable, so please protect them or put them under particularly vulnerable tribal group. Then the central government puts them under that. Then, when we look at the Simlipal National Park, it is part of the Simlipal Kuldiha Hardgar National Park. And here you also look for the elephant reserve. There is some Bengal tigers, and it is part of UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserves. What is the meaning of it? One of the biosphere reserve, especially the World Network of Biosphere Reserve, is Simlipal. The next major issue which has divided the country again on the basis of caste lines is a battle of Bhima Koregaon, where this year when this event was celebrated by the scheduled caste people or the Dalits who were actually involved in this particular war. Now, when they were celebrating, due to some political reasons, people started fighting against each other. The Maratha community and the Dalit community started fighting. These people together had fought several wars, and in one particular case, the Dalit community actually were not made part of the Maratha infantry. At that time, the Britishers gave them an opportunity and they had fought against them. But there are several other places or several other times when the Dalit communities have actually helped the Maratha community, especially when it comes to the son of Shivaji, whose body was mutilated and it was brought and it was protected, and rituals were done to that by the community itself. Unfortunately, today, because of growing vote bank politics of opposition parties, they want to divide the country on the basis of caste. Because one side, there is division on the basis of religion. So once religion division takes place, there is a possibility of majoritarian versus minorities. So now divide the majority as well on the basis of caste line is some of the theories of some people, whoever keeps on writing about this. But we have to be aware about the historical issue of this. So please try to read history in detail about two important events. One is the Bhima Koregaon and the second one is the Maratha kingdom, whatever is associated during that particular time, right? Marathas, you can read once, you can expect a question on that. And the second important, specifically with respect to this issue. Traditionally, in most of the books, you won't find this because these are narratives of the so-called lower caste people right from the beginning. And remember, the minorities or the marginalized voice is never ever present in any history. So it's important for us to know about their perspectives as well. Then only it can lead to nation building process where we can ensure that the country is moving together. The next important issue is actually with respect to Flamingo Festival, right? These are the flamingo birds which usually come closer to Pulicat and Nellapattu region, where this festival is celebrated for the migratory birds from Siberia, which will visit mainly during winter season. The main reason for this is during winter season they actually move out of the Siberia, which will be extremely cold, and while moving they give stops where they give stops near Pulicat or Nellapattu, and these are the breeding season of this. So whenever they come every year, the festival is being celebrated. So it's very, very important for you to know about this. One, you should actually read about the Nellapattu Bird Sanctuary, one of the biggest habitats for hundreds of pelicans. Then it is located 20 km north of Pulicat Lake on the Andhra Pradesh Tamil Nadu border. Please remember this. UPSC may ask you, Nellapattu Bird Sanctuary is at the border of what? Right? Very, very important. Second important thing is you need to know about the Pulicat Lake. It is the second largest brackish water after Chilka Lake, and it is at the border of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. And the barrier island, so if you have a lake like this, there will be a barrier present. There usually we observe Sri Harikota, that is Satish Dhawan, Space Center, and the Buckingham Canal, a navigation channel, is also present closer to this. I told you guys, we will be seeing the issue and also the facts associated with it. They may ask you anything with respect to this, and you should be prepared. So for this, what are we doing? We are going to give you additional information about that issue as well, right? Please try to go through each one of the issues. Just don't leave it. I'm explaining wherever the facts are important for you. Remaining, just try to go through. If at all there is a possibility of they asking, you should be in a position to answer them. There is another tribal festival which is considered as a national festival this year, and that is the Medaram Jatara, where this is one of the tribal festival where more than 1 crore people usually visit, and it is celebrated in the honor of Samakka and her daughter Saraka, where because of their curse it is believed that the decline of Kakatiya rule actually started. Right? So it's very important for us to look at this, because once it is declared as national festival, next year it can be made part of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So it's very important for you to know that this is associated with the Telangana tribal community. Right? So because of that, my request to you, please go through these tribal communities in detail. So not everything is important, but whenever they are in news, it is important. So which tribe is it? It is Koya tribe, right? You have to talk about the Koya tribe present in Telangana, and it is the biggest tribal festival in Asia, which is attended by almost around 1 crore people. Very important for you. Next important issue is actually with respect to electoral bonds for political parties. To ensure that the black money is completely removed from the elections, the government has planned for a unique approach first in the world, until and unless we know that there is no misuse of it. We can say that this will ensure clean money in politics. One most important thing that you need to analyze here is, earlier there was some threshold, that is like, about 2,000 or 20,000, you cannot give in anonymous way. You have to give either check, or you should know, the political party should know who has actually given money about 20,000 or 2,000 rupees. First, what they did, from 20,000 to 2,000 they brought. But still what happens, there are some parties which has got 100 crores funds from the people, and they said that I have got 100 crores. When government asked from where you got, or when election commission asked where you got, they said that most of the people have given them hundreds and 200s, rather than giving one person giving crores. It's most of the people have given. So this was one way of showing that people have given less than 2,000 rupees, and it was very difficult for them to identify. So now what the government has done, with the help of this electoral bonds, what is going to happen? Now everyone has bank accounts through the Jan Dhan Yojana and all. So if you are actually planning to give, then what you should do, you should actually purchase these bonds from SBI Bank through your bank account itself. So by giving check or so, if you give the check, the SBI will give you the bonds. You can go and give those bonds to that particular political party. The particular political party can actually put these bonds back into their accounts. Okay, and when they put this bonds back in their accounts, what is going to happen? When they put these bonds back in their account, the money will go back to their account, and from that account itself, they have to spend the money. So what is the meaning of it? Election Commission will be knowing from where these political parties are getting funds and how much they are getting and how much they are spending. So it shouldn't be like, okay, I got 100 crores and I spent 150 crores. So where did you get that 50 crores? How will Election Commission come to know? Every individual member of the political party has to actually show how much expenses he is actually doing for that particular election. So when he does this, they will come to know, okay, this person has spent 1 crore, the another person has spent 2 crores. So they accumulate it and see the Congress party has got 150 crores, whereas they have spent only 100 crores. This is what you try to understand. So there are multiple things that needs to be done because no one actually gives how much money they are spending. So the accounts that they produce is very less compared to what they spend, but it is a first step towards the clean money. Electoral bonds, a most important and predominant step. You should understand that there won't be name of the person who has actually donated it. He can be anonymous as well, or if he wants, he can tell them that, see sir, from my name I have purchased this for your political party. By showing receipt also, he can actually say that he has made the required donations as well. The annual ASEAN Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is actually celebrated this year in Singapore. You're all aware that the day Gandhiji actually returned was used as a major platform to celebrate this. And during this, we are actually planning to connect to the Indian diaspora across the world, whether they are NRIs or people of Indian origin, or if you're talking about overseas citizens of India. So what is the main important thing? Through this, we are trying to connect to these people. We are trying to collect their database. And if there is any need of these people in future, whenever there is issue with respect to their particular governments, we are going to make use of these people. Or if they are in a very good position and if they have technologies or if they have enough money to invest back in our country, then we are going to use that resources for the development of the country. Remember guys, lobbying is actually considered legal in several developed countries, especially United States of America. Several Indo-Americans has actually helped in formulating Trump's policy towards India. Similarly, they had helped in formulating Obama's policy towards India. The policies of several countries like Jewish lobby, which is the most powerful lobby in United States, actually ensures that Israel is safe from its surroundings. So similarly, Indian diaspora is also present in different parts of the world, and they are present in a very good position. As they are present in a good position, their jobs are at a higher level. They can actually influence the governments of their countries so that the policy can change and they can bring in investment, or whenever we need to deal with common people, like allowing our H-1B visas to be easier and simpler. If you want to do all this, then it can be done only through this powerful lobby. So India is trying to utilize this lobby across the region, and this year, especially this year, last year we celebrated 25 years of togetherness with ASEAN, where the relationship has improved after the Look East policy. So India is planning to ensure that through this we are planning to connect to the diaspora present there as well. The next important issue that we need to focus is with respect to All India Survey on Higher Education. Please guys, remember this carefully. UPSC may actually ask you essays where you can use this. You should understand that according to this survey, where they will focus only about higher education. Remember guys, in United States of America, there is more than 83% of the people who are involved in higher education. When it comes to India, it is only 25%. When you actually look at China, it is almost around 43%. So this clearly shows that India is way behind, and by 2020 India aims to achieve 30% in the at least enrollment. Forget about continuing and all, enrollment itself we want to increase. And if you take the overall enrollment, it is less. Even within this, the gender gap was usually more before, but now we are observing that the gender gap has actually reduced. So what is the meaning of it? The meaning of that is women enrollment is actually increasing. So once we achieve, it is not only important for us to reach 50% or 80% where enrollment takes place, but it is important for us to ensure that both men and women participate equally, so that there is lot of scope for utilizing the skills of women as well, and that is a symbol of gender growth. And remember remember guys, whenever you need to talk about skill India or so, this can happen only when you have higher education, more number of students are going for higher education, the dropouts are reducing. Literacy, when we say, we just try to see read and write, but that's not the actual literacy, actual skill required for the country to grow. For that we need to ensure that the gross enrollment ratio actually increases, where some traditional skills through colleges can help in skill India development as well. So when we talk, some states like Goa, Himachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Jammu and Kashmir, Nagaland, Sikkim and Kerala, we observe women in higher education are more than men. And then we need to look at some facts that I have already told you. The college density where you see more is in Puducherry, Telangana and Karnataka. Right guys, this is very important for you. Unfortunately, India has not achieved internationalization of education. That is, people from outside. Yes, some African countries come, but not much, where several students from other countries come and they enroll more. For China, United States and all, gross enrollment is more because of the other countries. It is believed that the climate change is going to have different impacts on different parts of the earth. But overall, if we look, the overall impact of climate change is said to be aridification, where the dryness in the earth will usually increase and around 20 to 30% of the world area will be arid in next few years. The global community has agreed that we should maximum try to increase till 2% and we should not go beyond that. But if we reach that 2% by that time, at least 20 to 30% of the earth will be arid is what the study actually says. So because of this, what we should do, we should try to ensure that we are not going to that, we are reducing it as soon as possible. So many people initially thought that 2% or 2 degrees Celsius is fine. On the basis of that, certain agreements and others were made. But now they are actually thinking to reduce it below because of aridification. So it's important for us to know that one of the global impact of this is aridification. What is the meaning of aridification? Dryness increases, water content reduces. See, land has a capacity to hold some water. That is important for agriculture. Atmosphere holds some water which is important for the life to sustain. All this will reduce, and dryness means we may actually move towards deserts. One of the major fear for food security or famine in the world is that with increasing pollution, there is a possibility of spreading of arid regions, or aridification, desertification is increasing. And if this really takes place, most of the agricultural land will actually come under this. Then as the limits to growth theory actually speaks, there will be a lot of areas which will not be used for agriculture, and this would ultimately have impact on food security, which will ultimately have impact on deaths of people. Malthusian theory, when we talk about the population growth, he actually says that population is increasing at the geometric rate, whereas food is increasing at arithmetic rate. Many people argued at that point by saying that no, food is multiplying at geometric rate today because of green revolution. But if aridification takes place, then there will be fall to this. This is what we need to understand when it comes to climate change. Climate change will put limits to economic growth in almost all the regions, especially through increasing aridification. World Health Organization has approved a vaccine which is actually important for typhoid. We know that most of the developing countries are affected because of typhoid. If you look how exactly typhoid comes, mainly because of the food that you consume. If it is associated with viruses, bacteria and other things from the street food which is not clean, especially in developing countries where poverty is one of the main cause for diseases, poor sanitation, food habits and others have made these people vulnerable to typhoid. As typhoid is more, WHO and many other countries, especially developing countries, has always planned to have a good medicine right from the childhood itself, which can act as immunization. India based, especially Hyderabad based, Bharat Biotech has actually produced a vaccine called as type bar typhoid conjugate vaccine, which in future may be given to the children at an younger age itself so that they can develop immunity with respect to typhoid. So what they are doing, WHO has initially given pre-qualification. That is, first they will take and try to see if it is beneficial and if it is working effectively for immunization. Then the extent of its use will be varied in different regions, and also it will be given to poorest of the poor countries at a cheaper cost so that the countries can come out of this. What is the benefit of this? You should remember that whenever these typhoids or fever or some other diseases usually affect the people, they are actually not in a position to work. When they cannot work, they cannot have income. So that will have lot of other health issues as well. So to ensure that there is no health concerns associated with this, WHO is planning for this. There are several NGOs which actually work along with them. So they all work together to ensure that smallpox, right, polio, typhoid, these diseases are removed from the earth completely, right? If this occurs, then this can be a prelims based question. One, it can be Hyderabad based, the company can be asked, and the second thing, the vaccine name can be asked. We know that Jammu and Kashmir in winters do not have proper connectivity, mainly because of snowfall. And if you are aware, Jammu and Kashmir is one state where you have two capitals. It's important for us to know that when you have two capitals, one of the main reason for that is lack of connectivity. And to improve the connectivity not only with Jammu and Kashmir, we need to improve the connectivity with Leh Ladakh as well. For this, the Union government has actually approved construction of Zojila Pass Tunnel. Tunnel means usually, right, it will be covered from all sides so that the traffic can be there and it will be all weather. Even if snowfall is there, snowfall occurs above, inside there won't be any disturbance so that the movement is easy. Bi-directional, they want to connect Leh and Ladakh as well. So you are planning for Srinagar, Kargil, Leh through what? Zojila Tunnel. Very, very important, guys. Please remember, last time also we had Chenani Tunnel which tried to connect Jammu and Srinagar. Now we are planning to connect the other part as well. Very, very important for India to have these tunnels to improve connectivity in Jammu and Kashmir. Only when there is improved connectivity through these projects, then people of all the regions will see development fruits. And the other important point is it provides job for localites as well. So tourism and other things, if it improves, it's very, very easy for them to earn their livelihood. So it's very important for us to have this road projects. There is something called as compensatory afforestation fund management and planning. Usually the companies whichever use forest land pay some money to the government for afforestation and all. From last 4-5 years, every year almost around 6,000 crores government get, and it has accumulated around 42,000 crore, and it is not yet being used properly because Ministry of Finance says a different thing and Ministry of Environment talks differently. Now they all have come together and have agreed for growing crops, especially plants or trees. Afforestation will be seen wherever deforestation is there. In some other region, not in the same region, in some other region, you will go for afforestation. Hopefully, this will help in increasing the forest cover of India. But the only problem is when you have natural forest, it is a different biodiversity. But here, the biodiversity loss will be there because these people go for same type of crop development. The next important issue that you need to focus is with respect to Jal Marg Vikas project on National Waterway 1. What exactly is this? On Ganga river, that is from Allahabad to Haldia, we are trying to have the river integrated system and all, so that it will monitor the movement of vehicles and in the river as well. So if there is any problem suddenly, or if there is something which stucks the boats or movement of goods, then there should be some people who are in a position to go and protect and help in free movement. So it's like the roads, you also need the waterways to be guarded by certain officials, and for all this the cabinet has approved Jal Vikas Mark project, which will be aiming at free movement of goods through this. And when you go for these projects, remember guys, as these are in the densely inhabited regions and these are on the plains, it will actually reduce the transportation cost of many products. And as it goes till Haldia, most of the products which are produced in Bihar, UP and all can be transported directly to Kolkata, and from there it can be exported to other regions as well. Even if you want to go for imports and industrial development, that would be very much beneficial. So it's important for us to be aware of this project, because inland waterways are the future development of any country. When we look at United States of America, there is something called as St. Lawrence Waterway, and this waterway is actually close to the Great Lakes, where most of the industries are present, and they actually helped those countries to develop economically and have iron and steel industries growing in that region. Whereas when we look at Europe, you have something called as Rhine River, and that also actually helped in connecting different countries even during the European coal and steel community formation as well. But India, you have this actually passing through what you call as the agriculturally dominant region, but once we have proper system, we can actually use it in other regions, which can actually help in industrial development as well. NASA has actually decided to launch two missions to explore nearest space. Nearest space means above 96 kilometers. Usually we observe ionosphere and others, right? It's very difficult for NASA to actually identify what is there in this particular area. Not only NASA, the human beings are not aware of our space itself. Example, ionosphere, magnetosphere, exosphere and all. What exactly is there and what are the benefits of this? What is the impact of this on the Earth's atmosphere, especially lower atmosphere? And some people say that El Nino is because of the ionosphere. Is there any relationship between these and all? For this, two missions NASA is planning. One is actually known as the Global Scale Observations of the Limb and Disk, called as GOLD. Second is Ionospheric Connection Explorer. Please remember GOLD. UPSC direct question will be, what is the benefit of GOLD? GOLD is actually aimed at studying ionosphere. Please look into this issue carefully, right? Gold is aimed at studying ionosphere and near space properties carefully. So what are the benefits of this? What are there? All this will be seen. Until and unless they launch it, they won't ask the use of it. But in prelims, they may ask you, gold is actually associated, gold and icon is associated with what? They may ask you outer space, exosphere, or they may even ask you that they may something like Saturn or near other planetary bodies or so. But the actual answer is with respect to ionosphere. You're all aware about the bio toilets which are actually used by the railway ministry with the help of DRDO in several places. Especially when I say several places, you need to recollect that you have something called as green toilets, green platforms present in Tamil Nadu and other places. Unfortunately, CAG has said that this is a big failure because the projects are not working effectively, and if you are planning to extend it throughout the railways, then it is not worth, because there are some faulty things and that needs to be fitted first. So rather than looking at what are the issues in prelims, the focus can be on the bio toilets itself. So how exactly it works? When you actually use the bacteria into this, then usually they convert the final product that comes out is usually methane and carbon dioxide. So what you should be aware of is when we use bacteria in these bio toilets, they convert the human waste into methane and carbon dioxide. So the question can be, what is the end product of bio toilets? So what are the major issues with it? The CAG report gives almost around 1 lakh mistakes are there. No need to think about it much. The government, if it expands and if there are any issues, you can say that CAG has given that the functioning of it is not effective and it needs to be upgraded, else the safe bio toilets which India has planned will actually lead to a lot of problem. Don't write much negative about the technology and others. The functioning is faulty because of the equipments that may be used, because DRDO is actually involved and it is working effectively in ensuring that the bio toilets are clean and safe as well. The last important issue of the week is actually with respect to the bitcoins, that is Ethereum. People, apart from bitcoins, there are other cryptocurrencies like Ripple, Ethereum, Litecoins and all, which also uses the blockchain technology similar to bitcoins. Please go through the Bitcoin chapter once. The same thing, and that's demand is also increasing. UPSC prelims question can be, which of the following are cryptocurrencies? So you should be knowing different names. One is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin. All this is important for your exam. So please try to go through this as carefully as possible. And at last, the case study is given. From now on, focus mostly on the prelims based. Mains, try to read additional information which you can use for mains as well. Right guys, whatever factual data that I say, and whenever I say please go back and read about that in particular, please spend time on that, because high possibility from now on prelims focused questions will be there. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.